Ladies and gentlemen, I am back. Ryan Thomas back on the Thomas Take Sports podcast for what is the 2025-2026 season debut. Starting here in March, working all the way through the rest of the Buffalo Bills season here. There is no offseason in football, just Bills football, whether there's free agents, new draft picks. I'm going to keep you covered, keep you in the loop, as I've been doing since 2016. And of course, I wanted to bring a great guest, as I always like to bring great guests to the show, but I always like to bring on not only a great guest, but a great friend, Justin Swank of 24/7 Buffalo Fandemonium. What's going on, Swank? Thanks for joining me, buddy.
What an intro, man. That's Sunday Sessions payback right there. I always try to give RT the best intros, man. And now he got me all choked up and stuff. Wow. Episode one, man.
Episode one. I do want to remind the audience this episode is pre-recorded, but what I always like to do whenever the episode is aired, which is not whenever, it's Wednesdays at 8, I hop on while you guys are watching. I'm watching too. I want to stay on my P's and Q's. I want to find out how I'm doing here and how I'm breaking things down. What ways can I improve? There's always room for improvement. Check the tape, just like they do on the gridiron, right? So you guys comment, fire away your comments in the comment section below, wherever you're tuning in, whether it's YouTube, whether it is Twitter, Buffalo fan base. They've been an awesome group to work with here. We got some big things coming up this year. I think we're going to have a very much revamped, rejuvenated season, as we want to provide great coverage to the much-deserved Bills Mafia, who deserve great coverage, who deserve a Super Bowl ring, right, Swank?
Oh, I think many Super Bowl rings, but one, we'll settle for one, dude.
Yeah. We'll take one. One is all we need, right? So on the show tonight, you're going to get analysis from myself and Swank on all of the Buffalo Bills free agent moves. Brandon Beane said that he wouldn't be busy, but it's been busy, Swank, at One Bills Drive. Give me your thoughts. We'll start off with the most recent move that the Bills made. Now, this isn't much of a barn burner move, but it's an interesting move that I think is pretty underrated in the game of football. We talk about offense, we talk about defense a lot. Special teams gets kind of sidetracked here, kind of pushed to the side as the NFL's changed their kickoff rules and such, but this guy's a pretty good player. This guy's proven to be a great special teamer, and that is the Bills signing wide receiver, kick returner Laviska Shenault to a one-year deal. Shenault Jr., that is. What are your thoughts on this as a nice ad here for our special teams?
I like him, man. A veteran in the league. If you talk to my boy Scooter Magooter, man, this is one of his guys. He's always loved Shenault ever since he came into the league. He's explosive. He's got a little bit of that like wow factor. I think you're going to see him again, mostly in that kick returner role, or at least competing for a starting job doing that this year, since we don't know exactly how everything's going to shake up by the end of the offseason. But yeah, I think he's a solid locker room ad, and I think he's athletic as hell. So I'm excited for him to be on the roster.
Why not, right? And it seems like there's a little bit of a theme. I'm not saying that Laviska Shenault's going to get this much of a role, but it seems like they like these guys that could be like Swiss Army knife type guys. Like, God forbid, heaven forbid, if Khalil Shakir went down or if Curtis Samuel went down, I'd feel pretty confident that Laviska Shenault could step in there and be a little bit of a 1 to 2 week kind of stopgap slot receiver. I'd feel pretty good about that. What do you think on that?
Yeah, man. I think having a veteran that has had any level of success as a starter or a part of another team in this league is nothing but a positive. I think the Bills are not strangers to injuries and guys having to step up and fill in shoes from week to week. Luckily, Shakir's been pretty healthy. I don't know if you heard me knocking earlier when you were saying all that stuff.
Oh, I heard it. I knocked too.
But yeah, man, I think absolutely. I think he could fill that role. Why not? He was getting a lot of touches earlier on in his career, so I don't know. I think he'd be fine.
Yeah, and obviously, I think big key to this offseason. I'm not sure what that was, but might have been my mic or something. But I think a big key, big key to this offseason is draft, develop, retain. They're pretty, knowledgeable in that regard. Who do they got to keep? Who's got to go? And man, I think that's where the Bills have been most busy. I want to start off with just this trio of players that the Buffalo Bills have brought back, staying true to their word that they're going to draft well, they're going to develop well, and they're going to retain well. I think all three of these contracts that have been signed so far have been pretty fair as the Bills bring back Greg Rousseau, Terrell Bernard, and DeMar Hamlin. And we'll start kind of in this order here. Swank, obviously, when we talk on Sunday sessions all season long, what do we want to see? What do we want to see week to week? No matter the opponent, we want to see pressure on the quarterback. We want to see guys that can get after it. You talk about that all the time. We talk about that all the time. Greg Rousseau, I think he's an ascending talent. I think he's only getting better. What do you think as far as just the fact that the Bills are able to get this done so early in the offseason? This was one of the first moves that the Bills made this offseason.
I think it makes a big statement about what they want to focus on this year. And I'm sure we're going to get to these other signings that we got to too. Mm-hmm. But I think this is like the key pin for the whole line. You've brought in Von Millers, you've got, Epinezas, you've got these guys that you've kind of sprinkled in a rotation. Groot is the real deal. Groot is a force, and he grew into that role. He grew into a leader. He just needs some help. Like he needs some help. He can do a lot on his own, but I mean, we all saw at the beginning of last season, right? First 2 games, he's in the backfield in the first 5 snaps multiple times. Then he's double teamed for the rest of the game, and he disappears aside from like stopping a run or doing whatever. But it's like they're like, okay, he's the guy we got to focus in on. This dude is going to be electric, I think, especially with that other signing that we got, and some help coming in off the edge. And I think them signing him first and giving him that contract and just not having him go into any of the offseason, any of the preseason with any kind of contract worry. You are a Buffalo kid. We've always believed in you. We want you here. Put the team on your back. Put the line on your back. It's your time. There's no Von Miller here anymore. It's you. And I think that he'll grab the reins and he'll roll with it, man. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and when you look at the league, league wide, just at that position, I would have thought that Greg Rousseau would have got a little bit more money, to be honest, from Buffalo or from somebody else, God forbid. But I was really happy that he took what Buffalo figured was the fairest offer for what he has provided thus far. He's not trying to overprice himself like that guy that's playing in Cleveland, by the way, Myles Garrett, getting a cool $40 million to be mediocre with Cleveland. But that's another story for another day. We'll take our pot shots here and there. But man, Greg Rousseau is all about winning and recognizing bloom where you're planted, as Josh Allen's parents say. And I'm really happy about it. I think it's a great contract for the Bills. I think it's a great contract for him. And I think only good things will continue from here for Groot.
Yeah, man. He's a rising star in this league. I literally think he's one counterpart away from just being a dominant force in the NFL.
Yeah, I really agree 100%. We'll go on to Terrell Bernard, a guy that I absolutely love. I think he's probably the most underrated player, arguably, on this entire team. When healthy, one of the best linebackers in the NFL, and gone are the days of Tremaine Edmonds. People were saying that was a huge hole on the roster without Tremaine Edmonds. Terrell Bernard steps in, blessed by Kyle Brandt calling his name on draft day, and ever since it's been smooth sailing for Terrell Bernard ever since he stepped into that starting role. 4-year deal, right? Or is it a 5-year deal? Maybe I'm wrong on that, but long term.
Yeah,
it was 4.
I think it's 4.
Yeah, I thought it was 4 too. So 4-year deal here. So obviously, when I look at what this means for their team, he's selected by his teammates as one of Buffalo's 2 captains last season. So they weren't going to let this guy walk. This guy means too much to the culture, to the room, to the organization to let him slip away. And again, kind of to what Groot recognizes, Bernard recognizes, man, I'm playing for a team that is not only great, but has made me feel like I'm a family member. Why would I leave?
Yeah.
What is your assessment of how great Terrell Bernard has been in comparison to what you might have even thought, or what I might have even thought?
I mean, I remember when we let Edmonds walk, right? And I remember people it was like the same kind of cloud. Like he was like, well, he was good enough. He's physically, he's good enough. He didn't have that spark, that wow. Our buddy Mark Maddox, he always had a little bit of a bone to pick with Edmonds. He liked him as a person, whatever, but there was just something missing. And I always get like, I don't know if it's like PTSD for being a Bills fan for so long, but when we let something leave that is doing the job well enough, I always get a little bit of, but what if like he's really good, or what if the replacement's really bad, or whatever. You get that little bit of like, I guess it's more of like a seller's remorse than a buyer's remorse, right?
Right.
And I remember Bernard was a little banged up in training camp and all that stuff, and everybody's who's gonna fill these shoes? Oh my God. And it was like almost people forgot about him. And then he came in and it was like, where the hell has this kid been? We all forgot what McDermott does to linebackers that are hungry. What is happening? He has just blown apart expectations. And still, like, not only with the Edmonds thing looming, but Milano was on the ascension when he's getting in the mix too. So you're like, well, yeah, Matt Milano, you can't have two amazing linebackers, right? Like, and then enter Bernard, dude, and just blow the door off the place. I mean, this was another solid anchor signing for the Bills. Keep this guy in Buffalo as long as you can. I think it's huge for the outside, like the players looking in, being like, wow, Buffalo takes care of their guys, man. They see the value, they take care of them.
Yeah, if it sends a message to the rest of the NFL, especially like right as we inch closer and closer to draft day, that hey, like this organization is no longer a place that when ESPN would pan to the newly drafted Buffalo Bill, like Stephon Gilmore or some of these other guys, Marcel Darius, they'd be like,
yeah,
here we go, 4 years, and then I'm probably done, and then I'll get a bag somewhere. Those days are long over, and that's another factor that you could kind of tip your cap to Sean McDermott and what he's helped create. Along with Brandon Beane, but I would say more so McDermott, that I'm going to make you feel as if we are going to invest not only coaching and time, but we are going to make you feel as if you're a part of, the big picture. If in fact you take the direction and take the coaching that I'm offering. And that's really awesome to see the guys that have done that get rewarded and then some, right? So Terrell Bernard, man, I am really excited for him. I think with the contract talks behind both Rousseau and Bernard, they don't have that looking over their shoulder anymore like they did going into last year. Could be even better, as players on the field for the Buffalo Bills this upcoming season.
I think so, man. I'm so excited for like keeping those pieces.
Yes.
To me, that's something that like we really needed to hang on to. And obviously there's places we can get better. Hence some of these signings that we've done. But yeah, man, two huge leaders, two huge impact players for this defense moving forward. And I'm glad they're going to be around.
Yeah, definitely. Now, of course, kind of a sidebar here. I wanted to bring this up at the beginning, but I wanted to kind of let the people marinate in a little bit of Bills talk here before I brought this up for the folks at home. So we're always looking for something to do. The weather is starting to get a little bit nicer in these parts. Dare I say it, one day it's 35, the next day it's 75, but we'll take it. We'll take that one day of 75 and that other day of 35, just as long as there's no more snow, no more ice, no more slipping and cutting my side from my waistline to my hip on a piece of ice that actually happened. In case you guys are wondering if I'm making that up, that really did happen. I'm like, I was wearing a coat in multiple layers and I still got cut. Like, how does that? How does that happen? But hey,
Poor
it's
guy.
Buffalo winter for you. But sidebar there. But I want to definitely let the audience know that April 9th, right? April 9th.
Yes,
If you
sir. Yeah.
if you're looking for something to do, head out to Buffalo RIVERWORKS, and you'll get the chance to see the guy to my right laying down some pipes on the mic for the Endless Mountain Derelicts, the Endless Mountain Derelicts EMD. If you're looking for some really cool music, a really good time, I think there's one thing that Buffalonians love more than the Bills, or just as much. It's some damn good music and
Hey.
some beer.
Hey, as long as those are like neck and neck, I think beer's probably got it just by a little bit, but it's a good spot to have beer.
Yes.
Good show. Yeah.
It's a
Thanks,
great
man.
spot. Yeah, I wanted to definitely mention that. I'm gonna make the trek. I want to be there. I want to check it out. Tash, my girlfriend, she said, she's like, what do we got going on April 9th? I said, April 9th. That's far out of my. Really, I'm terrible at planning, like most men are. But I'm like, April 9th. Here she goes again, talking about something that is almost a month away. But then and then I realize it's not. And then I'm like, oh, all right. Now we got to figure out what's going on. And I didn't know what she was referring to. And then she said Swank's playing at RIVERWORKS. I was like, oh, I'm going.
Yeah, dude. I'm pumped, man. This is our first big show in Buffalo. And we're supporting.
A big deal.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We're supporting this guy, our friend Jackson Stokes. He's from St. Louis, crazy, insane, kind of blues rock trio. And he tours with the Devin Allman Band on a full-time basis. And he's just sweet guy, man. We got the chance to play with him last year down in Corning. And then a couple years ago, we were on a festival with him. And he was gracious enough to tell his promoters and the venue and the good people at RIVERWORKS that he wanted us to open for him. So
that's awesome.
Sent us an offer, and we're stoked, man. I've been to shows there. It's an awesome venue and
great venue,
loud and fun. And yeah, please come on out and hang out. It'll be a great time.
Yeah, not only will you see Swank, doing his thing, living his rock star lifestyle, but you'll also see me there, probably in one of the two front rows in my element with a cold one. So I'm really pumped, pumped for that. Yeah, potentially. I don't know if anybody wants to see that anymore, but we'll see. It depends on the amount of beers that are available for me to take, which I'm sure there'll be a lot. But
I'll get you in the green room. We'll get you right, dude.
Get some good stuff. Yeah, get some good stuff. The rock star stuff. Yeah, I'm really pumped for you, dude. I wanted to mention that here from the top, but I think it's better that I mention it in the middle because people are watching. They're like, "Oh, these guys like to party. Okay, we'll come out.
Dude. We're down to party, dude."
We're Bills fans. We're Bills Mafia. We know how to party for sure.
That's right. That's it.
Definitely. So yeah, check that out on the bottom there. I got the date. I got the venue. I got the band. If you've never, been out to Buffalo RIVERWORKS, definitely check it out. And obviously, I think a lot of the people that have tuned in to Sunday sessions, that have tuned into the K-Gun Report, they know that you're a rare breed, man. You're a jack of all trades, as far as producing stuff, the show takes, the sports stuff, and then by night, rock star. So I respect it. I wish I could pull that off, maybe in my dreams, but definitely much respect to you on that front. You've been grinding.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun. I love it. I love creating things, and it's awesome getting to meet people like you and share those kind of dreams and good times. And I don't know, it's just great, man.
It's a journey, man. That's for sure. One hell of a journey.
Hell yeah.
So back to the football discussion here. Of course, our guy, our MVP, Josh Allen, agrees to terms on a new contract that keeps him in Buffalo through 2030. Yeah. So 2031, that's the year that everyone's kind of like, nah, we're not even going to bother looking at that. We got a long way to go before we can talk about that. But Josh Allen is here to stay and then some. Where were you when you heard this news, Swank? This is like a where were you when you heard type news? This is big.
Well, I was working on some apartments that my wife and I have. So,
Nice.
but it was great. I got the notification, and it just brightened my whole day. I don't think I've stopped to think about, like, and please, like, reflect upon yourselves about this too, man. Like, how long Josh has been here, right? It still feels like it's a dream to me that we got this dude who happens to be the perfect fit for Buffalo, who makes us, I'll say the majority of our success comes from himself and of course the front office and everything else. And it's a team and blah, blah, blah. But we know that this dude, Josh Allen, man, can put the whole team and the whole city on his back and get us and keep us in any game, in any situation. And it is like the accumulation of, 36 cognitive aware years of being a Bills fan, right? Probably about the time I was like 5 or 6, like I was aware that I was a Bills fan. All those years, man. And he's the perfect guy, man. I hope they find some crazy like health care regimen that would like keep him this age for like the next 30 years, and he could just be our quarterback, dude, forever. I love him so much.
He knows who to call, right? He would have to call the Emperor or Darth Vader / Tom Brady for something like that. But hey, join the dark side for that reason. Join the dark side. Just as long as Brady doesn't come back, I'm good with it. Give him.
It's like when Hulk Hogan went to the NWO, dude. You know, he had to go to the dark side for a little bit just to come back. You know,
just like John Cena now, he's saying, "What do you guys deserve? You guys deserve nothing." Did you see that? Oh my God,
dude, I'm not really into. Here's a little peek behind the curtain, but like we have like a fantasy messenger that RT and a bunch of our buddies are all in, right? And our guys and then like half of them, man, Pat Hughes and then Corey and all those, they are like big wrestling heads. I'll tell you a secret, RT, man. I never really watched wrestling growing up, man. I know
it's cool.
I know the essentials, you know, but that's about it. I got nothing.
Well, I tell you this. I watched it as a youngster, like 5, 6, 7, and then I grew out of it. And then during COVID, I started watching this documentary series, The Dark Side of the Ring. And it was all these like tales about dark side stories of wrestling and all these crazy stories. And then I started watching it again, and I haven't been able to stop since. Tasha's like, this is like eroding your brain. I'm like, I know. It really is. It's bad. I've been watching it like nonstop for the last 3 years. I'm into it again. I don't know.
It's soap operas for the off-season content creator for the Buffalo Bills. That's what it is.
I will take it. I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it for sure.
If it makes you happy, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters, right? keeps a smile on my face. But I will say, to your point, you know, I looked at this Josh Allen news the same way. Like, holy smokes, this kid's been here for 8 years. This will be his 8th season. Yeah. And this deal puts him at what, year 14 or 15? Yeah. So, you know, looking at it that way, this is the contract that, God willing, football gods, please, this is the contract that is going to be the one that will put him in a Super Bowl and put him as a Super Bowl winner. That's my prediction. That's my hope, obviously. But man, what a beautiful just moment, I think, for this franchise, for their best player, their MVP, to say, you know what, I'll take 55 instead of 60, not to be, you know, and he kind of said it like this, not to be a jerk, but what does $5 million more do for me? You know, I could put this to the salary cap, and we could get a couple decent players here, or keep a couple of our players, spread some more money around, if you will. The cap is going up to, like, people are saying, how does he get 55, and how are we still able to spend this money? The NFL is swimming in Taylor Swift money. What can we say? You know what I mean? That's a part of it. The revenues are high. The merchandise sales are higher than they've ever been. Nike's doing really well for the NFL. So, you know, it's all good. It's all good because it allows teams like the Buffalo Bills, small market teams, to be able to keep their MVP and keep him for the, hopefully, what is, you know, the rest of his career beyond this contract if he continues to play. to your point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this contract put him to maybe at like half, just under half of his career, probably with the Buffalo Bills. I'm saying 15 years. That's probably about half, right?
George Blanda. He'll be like George Blanda out there just slinging it.
I like it, man. I mean, all the moving around, the trading, all that stuff, it's fun when it's not your team. Like,
Right.
you know, for me, I growing up in like the 90s and you know, Big Bruce Smith and all when those guys took their like year, 2-year end of career, maybe the Bills didn't want to keep them quite because the team was starting on the decline. They needed to start rebuilding and figuring out the next era of Bills football. That was the saddest time in my life, man. I always wanted to see Thurman Thomas in a Bills jersey. I always wanted to see Bruce Smith in a Bills jersey. I couldn't ever imagine Jim Kelly throwing for anybody else. So it's like,
right.
When all that kind of got packed in, right? And it was really like the early 2000s that started this whole like crazy trade free agency kind of thing. It's kind of sad, man. It's kind of sad not thinking of like I can't imagine what Colts fans thought when Peyton left, you know.
Oh God, yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Or even you know, not that I give too much of a whatever about Tom Brady and stuff, but I had to suck when he left, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was shocking.
So bad, dude. Feels so bad for you Patriots fans, dude. But no, it just still, it's like you associate certain players with certain places that would stay if it was financially doable. And to me, it would break my heart if Josh Allen had to leave because the Bills couldn't afford him. Like that would absolutely break my heart. And you see this kind of stuff happening all over the league, dude, with like people leaving and moving and changing. It's like, did you ever think Russell Wilson wasn't going to retire as a Seahawk? Like,
yeah, that's now he's a journeyman. I hate to say it, you know, now what is he going to be on his third team in 3 years or something like that? So yeah, that's a great point, dude. That's a really great point. And, you know, I look at it like this, like I never, ever in a million years thought that Brett Favre would ever play for anybody but Green Bay. Like when that happened, I was like, oh my God, nobody's safe. Like I thought he was going to be buried in a Packers uniform. I really did.
The Vikings, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then the Jets, whatever. But like,
yeah,
I don't know. It'd be like the equivalent of like, what if right now? Because I would say we've had this talk on Sunday sessions and on the K-Gun and stuff, but like, the biggest AFC East rivalry right now for me, I would think, is the Dolphins, right?
Sure.
Like current, right? So if Josh Allen fell out of favor, they couldn't afford him, and he went and he was the Dolphins quarterback. Like, how would all of you feel about this?
I would be disgusted.
Raise the cap, dude. Raise it to $2 billion. I don't care. Josh Allen can never wear a Dolphins jersey, dude.
Yeah, that would be probably the worst thing ever. It would be
sorry,
really.
I didn't mean to put that image in anybody's head, dude.
It was really that was a rough one. Yeah, definitely. But no, I agree with you. You know, it's great that the NFL is as successful as it is. That the cap continues to rise. It allows GMs to have more flexibility and it allows great players to stay where they belong. Josh Allen belongs a Buffalo Bill, right? And that's the best way to put it. Now, I've purposely kind of hopped around, you know, of extensions and signings with a little bit of witty banter in between to just drop this bomb that was dropped by the Buffalo Bills at One Bills Drive. The Bills signed 5-time Pro Bowl defensive end Joey Bosa to a 1-year deal. This was the equivalent of Babe Ruth pointing to center field. I'm Babe Ruth in this scenario, and I hit a towering bomb to center field. I called this, Swank, left, right, and center. Every which way of the ballpark. You could ask Scott. You could ask all the guys. I called this. Just I was so ecstatic. I was standing atop my dad's stairs in his kitchen, putting my sneakers on, getting ready to head out after getting my ass kicked, by the way, in EA Sports College Football. That's another talk for another day. It's like, what the hell is he running here? But he got me that night. But Joey Bosa, 1-year deal, $12.6 million. Out Von Miller, in Joey Bosa, and I'm feeling like Bosa is at a better point now in his career than where Vaughn was when we signed him. Despite his injury issues, 29 years old, a lot left in the tank, I would say, right? So, not to take the words out of your mouth here, but how fucking pumped are you for this? I mean, holy shit.
Yeah.
I am super pumped about the signing.
Man, we kicked it off talking about Groot, right? And what I was saying, that counterpart, and I think Joey Bosa, a 29-year-old Joey Bosa, which anybody who's saying that he's like past it or past the prime, I know there's the injury stuff, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Myles Garrett, same age.
Right.
And we're talking about this guy being a dog, and man, let's bring him to Buffalo and give him a bunch of money and let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking Joey Bosa in this class of defensive end, man, he is still at the top of his game. And I think that this was a perfect signing. I think if he can stay healthy and those two dogs can eat on the ends, oh my God, is it going to be fireworks? I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when they did it.
And what made you, like the dust kind of settled? Like once I saw the signing, I'm like, this makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
For all the reasons you said, it makes sense for him. It makes sense for the Bills. But once the dust settles, it's like, what is the only thing that can get in the way of this other than Joey Bosa's health? Because when he's healthy and he's on the field, he is produced and then some. He's been the elite of the elite in this league since he was drafted. So I am just feeling like, okay, maybe this, from the outside perspective, playing against Buffalo a couple times with success, by the way, on Josh Allen. He's one of the few DNs that's been able to get to Josh Allen not once, but twice, 3 times in a game. He probably saw, maybe from the sideline watching our defense, hey, they rotate a lot. Hey, they keep guys fresh. He's a free agent a few years later. Hey, they keep guys fresh. I don't gotta go into a situation where my hand's in the dirt at 80% of the time. He could be out there 40, 50% of the time and be just as productive, if not more productive, with the speed skills that he's got. What do you think to that?
I think that's great. I mean, they extended Von Miller's shelf life by doing that, I think, right? We got a whole season of productivity out of him, and then unfortunately it declined quite a bit. But I will say he did look pretty good. I was at that Ravens game when he got that strip sack fumble and he was running right towards me in the end zone. Oh boy, he looked pretty good right then. But yeah, man, I think there's 2 things that I find really interesting about this. Number one, he could have played with his brother for $2 million less. He could have played with his brother in San Francisco. Instead, he got more money. That makes sense. But $2 million to a guy that's been in the league this long, that has the opportunity to do something that very few players have gotten to do, play with your brother, be on the same D line, chase that. I think he's more interested in winning it all. I think that he knows that this is the kind of place to do it. And on Buffalo's side, RT, have you thought about this, man? All of these Chargers that we've signed, who's the one opponent that they play twice a year for all these years that we have trouble against, man?
Oh, it's certainly not the Broncos. It's certainly not the Raiders. It's not the Chargers themselves.
Yeah.
Well, the Chiefs. The Chiefs.
Yes. Yeah, and that, to me, that got spoken into existence to me, and it blew my mind because I was like, man, we're getting a lot of these Chargers guys, like whatever. And then I was like, that's kind of genius. Like that's a guy that's been up against Patty Mahomes for Patty's whole career,
as well as his, pretty much, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think, yeah, man, I don't know. It's exciting to me. I don't want to fall into like this is the same thing as like signing Von Miller and he'll do what Von did. I think this is a different caliber kind of signing.
I do too. I think he's much better at this point in his career than Von was when they signed Von. I think a lot of people got to remember they signed Von coming off of a Super Bowl, but they signed Von coming off of a D-line where he was playing alongside arguably the best defensive tackle to ever play in the game. Yeah. I would say that Aaron Donald, one of the best DTs that I've ever seen, could be the best of all time. So it's worth stating. Right. Yeah. He goes away from that. And that's another, feather in the cap of Brandon Beane. He's able to pull guys away from LA to Buffalo. Hey, Sabres GM Kevin Adams, maybe we don't have palm trees, but winning really helps you sign players. I would say winning's
having
winning.
the MVP on your roster, I think, is a big deal too. Yeah, man, I think it's great. I think this is like, did little RT ever dream that Buffalo would be a destination for big name players that wanted to come here and play for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills and Sean?
I would dream of that day. I would dream of that. And then I would say, in order for that to happen, they're going to have to
freeze over.
They're going to have to find a Tom Brady, and they did. So
perfect.
I honestly, if I could have a conversation with like my grandfather or some of these fans that I've known over the years that aren't here, that didn't really get to see Josh Allen play, that would be like the first. I'd be like, what are you thinking of Josh Allen? Because good Lord, it's like, did some of the Bills fans in the heavens just send him down and say, hey, enjoy this? Sorry we couldn't enjoy it with you, but hey, well, you'll take it. Right? I don't know.
I've daydreamed about that kind of thing before.
What
if you pass away like before they make the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, right? Like, am I gonna get to watch it? I don't think you watch it, dude. I got to be able to watch it, right? And then I'm like, all those people up there that, man, yeah, it's just it's weird. It's like it's a religious experience being a
Bills fan. Yeah, it is. I would agree. Now, I posted LA to Buffalo, and I kind of hinted at, we're able to take Joey Bosa from the Chargers. We're able to take Josh Palmer from the Chargers. Now, to quote the horrible Chris Collinsworth, now here's a guy that I've had on my dynasty team for a period of time that I've always kind of wondered, what if he was on a different team? What would he look like? What if he was on a team that had a quarterback that stayed healthy? Justin Herbert has not these last couple of years. He's had some really, really bad injuries: foot, shoulder, knee, all sorts of hand, all sorts of stuff. And this signing was met with a lot of, I guess, negativity, a little bit of pessimistic, thoughts and stuff. But I put the tape on because that's all you can do. When you see a player comes to Buffalo or to whatever team you're rooting for, you put the tape on. I see a younger version of Amari Cooper. Now, he's not as accomplished as what Amari was when Palmer, when Amari was 25, the same age as Palmer is now. But I see a lot of traits that are similar to an Amari Cooper. What do you think of this signing? I'm curious to get your take.
I think that if you're talking to anybody that's not a Bills hater, right? And there are fans too that like they're like, who? This guy was high on people's boards in free agency. Like he is a diamond in the rough. He has put up numbers, not consistently, but there are flashes of greatness in there. And as we talked about just 5-10 minutes ago, we have Josh Allen on this team who has successfully and consistently brought out the absolute best in every single wide receiver that's come here. I like the Cooper comparison. I think that Palmer has the opportunity to, within the first 4 weeks of the season, put up more numbers than Cooper did the entire time he was with Buffalo this season.
Yeah.
If he can stay healthy, if he can learn the book, I think it's going to be great. It's going to be another one of those, who's Khalil Shakir? Why did we get him? And now everybody loves Khalil Shakir. I just think that there's that kind of haze mystic aura around this kind of guy. And I like it. I think it'll be good. I like it.
Untapped potential. Yeah. And to your point, Amari Cooper was with the Bills last season for 11 games. He had 2 touchdowns. So, he had the wrist injury. I've heard rumblings that there's no team that's made him an offer because of the wrist injury that he had. He was never really in it. He had some personal stuff going on off the field. I don't know what that was. Don't need to know what that was, but that could be contributing to why he might be, potentially hanging him up. If nobody gives him an offer, what's he going to do?
I'd give him vet minimum. Why not?
Sure. I would too. potentially if it's available. And you know what? Vet minimum, another guy that the Bills let go or didn't bring back, in this case more so let go, was Von Miller. Who's to say that Von Miller doesn't come back? I don't think that's a done deal that he's not coming back yet. I really don't. I think there's still a chance. I don't know how great a chance it is, but if he's unsigned, let's say 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, he could be back. That'd be awesome.
I gotta believe, we've talked about this in the chat and stuff too, but like, I gotta believe there is a train wreck kind of team that would give Von Miller Micah Hyde type deal at the very least. Like, if they let him come back to Buffalo, again, with that one Ravens play in the playoff game alone, like, if you let the Bills sign him back for pennies, everybody else in the NFL is sleeping on something. He can come in and he can be very good for your locker room. He can teach up young kids. There can be an instant lift in that department just from his presence. And I don't know. I'm trying, like, the Jets or some whatever.
Yeah.
And anybody that's a bottom feeder, the Jaguars, somebody like could use a guy like that. And if front office doesn't see that, I think that's pretty crazy.
I do too. I thought towards the end of this year, I thought he was starting to look a little bit like young Von or old young Von, I guess I could say, or young old Von, or however you want to word it. But we got to remember that he was one of the best pass rushers of his era, and he was productive, extremely productive in that first season with Buffalo prior to that knee injury. I don't know what would have happened if he had never gotten hurt. That's one of my biggest kind of questions that I've had, even looking at the 13 seconds and, all these games, of missed opportunities here these last few years. What if Von had stayed healthy? What would that have done to that defense? That's a big what if, and I think it's a worthy what if for a guy that deserves a lot of credit for the career that he's had.
Yeah.
So I wish him the best. I would like to see him back, but if it's not, it's not meant to be, and hopefully, he winds up somewhere that isn't in the AFC East.
Yes.
Or the AFC for that matter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want
or Kansas City. Yeah.
Or Kansas City. Yeah. Yeah. So I think overall, we would agree that the signings have been good thus far that we've talked about. Now, with the good, now we get to the rough stuff. Now, this is a real odd situation.
Yeah.
This is something that I've tried to actually go back and look at a time and place where not just Buffalo, but where a team has signed two players, and shortly after the two players are signed, they're both suspended for PEDs for 6 games each. And I'll go through, I have them both kind of singular here, to make it look more like ESPN. But Bills signed defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi to a 1-year deal, former Pittsburgh Steeler, obviously former Cleveland Brown, I believe former Cincinnati Bengal, run stuffer. Okay, check box. We needed a run stuffer. And of course, Michael Hocht, who I've always really looked at and said, that's an interesting piece. Like, you go on all these analytical sites, the Pro Football Focuses, they got him graded really high. His pass rush ability per snap is really high, pressure rate, all those advanced stats that most people don't really look at. But they're both suspended for 6 games, Swank, and I'm really happy that they brought them both in when they did. But as soon as I saw that they were suspended for 6 games, the first thought I could have is, what the heck? Like, how did this happen? How did this slip through the cracks? I don't know the ins and outs of how these things get brought up in contract negotiations, but I would like to think one of them was known about, and I think that was Ogunjobi, but then the Michael Hocht situation, or however it was, one was known about and one wasn't. I believe it was actually Ogunjobi that wasn't known about.
Yes,
to correct myself. Ogunjobi wasn't known about, but Hocht was.
Yes.
And he comes out and he gives a big statement about, a tainted supplement, which that happens a lot in the UFC. Guys are weight training, they're cutting weight, they're trying to stay, low body fat percentage. These things happen, but I've just never seen it at the NFL level, let alone twice in 1 week.
Yeah. It's gnarly, man. I think this is one of those things where like Bean is like so good. He's so like elevated. He's just like got that like third dimension brain that like you would think that a guy wouldn't make a mistake. I do think that Hochik was he was known about. And I think that that's livable. One of these guys on a 6 week, okay, he's the one I didn't want to be on a 6 week PED suspension. Not that I have a horrible time with his name, but OBE, how you say it?
Ogunjobi.
Ogunjobi. Not that Ogunjobi isn't someone that I was excited about signing. I thought great. But yeah, to have both of them missing for the first 6 weeks, it just kind of like takes the wind out of your sails before you even hit like, a
high. Yeah.
like,
yeah. It's like
these guys can have a great camp and who cares, right? Like, we'll see it in week 7. Like, but yeah, it's just very uncharacteristic, I think, of the front office. I don't know. What do you do now, too? Like, you already signed them. I guess you could cut them. If there was something in their contract that you didn't, I don't know. Very frustrating. Maybe more so frustrating because it doesn't happen that often,
Yeah, and my next question is, and this is one that no one knows the answer to yet, but like to kind of what you hinted at there, because they signed them both and because they're both suspended, does that mean that like game check wise or contract wise, they don't have to pay them as much as what they had originally thought? Like if that's the case, then Wizard Brandon Bean, shake that money out of those deals and spend it somewhere else, so that we could get, maybe another player or two from this situation that, is not great, but maybe that's where you do, try to bring back a Von Miller that you didn't think you could bring back or something like that. So it's a very peculiar situation, one that I've never seen before. I don't want to just point the finger at Brandon Bean and say, "Oh, Brandon Bean should have known," or I mean, I think that's the easy thing to do, but I think it's a lot more complicated than that, and I think we're not privy to all the details, and I don't know if we ever will be. You know what I mean?
I think you're 100% right, dude. I think Bean's a calm, cool dude, and he came out and he ate it and he wore it and he took the questions and it is what it is, kind of thing. Everybody's human. There's Kyer Elam, there's Wyatt Teller, there's Cody Ford. There's stuff that's happened in the Bean McDermott era that you're kind of like, huh? But again, they're so good, they're so thorough, and they get praised for being that way. That like when something like this happens, it's kind of like, whoa, act and whatever. It does suck. It sucks real bad. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, like, now does this, like, I mean, this 2 defensive linemen that I would assume would have a healthy rotation, like as much as almost anybody else on the starting line. So now what do you do going into draft day, or what do you do cleaning up free agency, or what do you do trade wise? I don't know. Like, these guys, you still need these bodies to fill these spots for 6 weeks, and now you need 2 positions.
Yeah.
Maybe 4, because Hochik, I've seen him listed as a linebacker, a defensive lineman, a defensive end, quarterback, kicker, everything, dude. He's listed
punter. Sam Martin. He's about to take Sam Martin's old job. Honestly, I think you're onto something there, especially when I look at the players that the Bills have visited with prior to this news and post this news. It has changed. Yeah. It has been more. I'm not saying it wasn't defensive line centered or defensive centered. I think their plan is to add to the defense as much as humanly possible, but it's visiting with top 50, top 20 players that are defensive players, defensive ends. I didn't see that or hear about that as much as I've heard about it the last couple days, and I think this has a lot to do with that. So this could actually change the day one or day two strategy of the Bills 2025 NFL draft a lot more than what people realize. And that is something, to say the least, for sure.
100%.
Now, there was a name that you mentioned in what was a rare miss, but it was a miss because it was a first-round draft pick that the Bills used to take this player, and that is Buffalo Bills former first-round draft pick Kaiir Elam, traded to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this trade is like it is what it is. It's a trade that the Bills, are trying to make something out of something, right? Trading away Elam in a 2025 sixth-round pick for a 25 fifth-round pick and a 26 seventh-round pick. So really they moved up around by trading away Kaiir Elam in this draft. They move up around, and they also get an additional seventh-rounder in 2026. I'd love it if that 7th and 26th was conditional. I don't think it is, but I'd love it if it was, because I think the potential is there. Obviously why he was picked in the first round, but man, Swank, this just did not work out. This was one that just was never, I don't think this was ever going to work out. The scheme fit, you name it. And then today there was some statements I was reading, that things that he had said about his time here that were a little bit unfathomable, in my opinion. Yeah. Did you catch that?
I did not. No.
So I will go. I got it all up here in front of me here. So as far as what he said, I don't want to paraphrase. I want to be honest with what he said. So, the general gist, the main quote of everything that he said was that his time is lamented due to the fact that he felt like he was put in the back seat. He felt like he didn't get the fair chance that he had wanted from the team that had picked him. Now, I look at that and I say, there were a lot of chances. The biggest chance of all was the last game that he played for the Buffalo Bills. So that was the last shot that he had in the biggest moment in his career to date to really step up and show something. And you know me, Swank, I was a Kaiir Elam kind of empathizer, like or a patient guy with Kaiir Elam. I thought, there's still a little meat on the bone. Let's see what he's got. There was still some more opportunities to be had at that time, midway through this year. But then the AFC Championship game, Swank, I mean, I was looking at their roster on a sheet to see if there was anyone else that they could put in that game than him. I mean, it was really, really bad. So what are your thoughts on just the Kaiir Elam era in Buffalo coming to an end and his comments?
I think it's ridiculous to think that kid did not get every opportunity to make himself. I don't want to be mean. See, this is the thing about us.
Tough. It's tough.
I don't want to be mean about it. He never did fit. He has a great heart. He's got great DNA. There was a lot of things about him excited. I could see what drew Bean and McDermott to him. I get it. He's a man coverage corner. You don't play a whole lot of man. Mm-hmm. And I was banging the drum last season for them to switch it up a little bit more because they were getting toasted.
They were.
And I was even ringing the bell for him. But he has not adjusted to the speed of the NFL. He's too grabby. He can provide those splash plays. He had that big pick in that Dolphins game, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. There's that there. The potential is there. I hope he goes to Dallas and he does very well. Mm-hmm. And they continue to be a 6-11 team or whatever and miss the playoffs, and that's fine. I just don't. Benford destroyed him from the very beginning that he came here, and then they went out and got Rasul Douglas, and it's just like that was the pairing. There was nothing he could do. He couldn't even make third string corner most weeks. Like I think that the Bills hung on to him for a season too long, and it pains me to say that because I never want to think that they're wrong or they're whatever, but it was too long. They're lucky they got anything for him. I'm glad that he's got another chance. I'll tell you this, hot take, Swank 2025. I'll be surprised if he makes the roster. in Dallas.
Whoo! Hey, I'm not knocking it. I will tell you this. The only reason why a player, for the folks at home, the only reason why a player that was picked in the first round of an NFL draft, what was it, 3 years ago? Something like that. We'll just say 3-4 years ago. The only reason why he's traded away for anything, whether it's a fifth or a sixth or a bag of footballs, the only reason why he was traded for anything is because he's still on a rookie contract.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why this trade happened. If he was re-signed, God forbid, by the Buffalo Bills, we'd be stuck with this guy, or we would have ate some money cutting him, and that's just the way it is. It's, I don't want to be disrespectful to the guy either, because I think he really loved playing here. Yep. I actually know he was really big on giving back to local businesses in the area. He went to my buddy Dave Poole's auto detail. He was a big time client of his. Great guy, awesome guy. I don't have anything against him as a person at all. And like you said, Swank, I wish him the best in Dallas. I want him to, be a star, just like the star on their helmet. That'd be a nice, comeback story for him. But as far as his time here, there was no way that this was ever going to work out. There was just no coming back from that AFC Championship game. I thought as soon as that game was over, my first thought was Kaiir Elam is gone. Like, there's no redemption after that. So, it is what it is. You swing on some, you miss on some. You can't hit every pitch out of the park. Not even Aaron Judge can do that. So, Brandon Beane swung, he missed this time, but he did get something for him, and the Bills have the most picks in the 2025 NFL draft because of this trade. So you could look at it that way too. Yeah. You could look at it as 2026. They got one more pick too, and they don't miss for whatever reason. They might have missed in this first round with this choice, but they don't miss in the mid rounds or the late rounds. You look at their track record. It's astonishing what they're able to do from rounds 3 to 7 in every draft that they've ever been in together. Mick Bean, that is. So it is what it is, Swank, as they say, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, moving on.
Moving on. The thought that he would say that he was put in the back seat,
that irritates me very. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go live for the K-Gun here, and I'm sitting here like, dude, I'm absolutely bringing this up. What the hell is going on, this kid? Like, he was like the rescue puppy that, like, all of us like made excuses for him for like all those years, man. And now
I made a lot of excuses for him. Dude. I did. Well, I wanted to. I know you got the K-Gun coming up. As I said, this is pre-recorded, so the K-Gun is live or will be live. You can go back to the future here.
Yeah,
you can go back as you're watching this live tonight, Wednesday at 8. You can check out the K-Gun as well. So check that out. You got Scott Reed, you got Swank, you got Jared Reed, who Jared put together the wonderful introduction with some of my favorite Bills moments, my favorite Bills memories. Just an awesome little highlight reel, a little bit of me on there too. It was pretty cool. I liked it.
My boy Jerry, man, he's been getting into the technologies a little bit. I'm proud of him. He's really taken a lot of that under his wing for us, and he likes helping people out and doing what he can do. Help our boys, so I'm glad.
Help your boy RT. So of course, I gotta mention this before you wrap up here. Show guest Justin Swank, 24/7 Buffalo Fandemonium Sunday sessions with your boy RT, Justin Swank, and Scott Reed every Sunday or Monday or Thursday. Whenever the Bills are playing, we stay along with their schedule all season long, as well as the lead singer, the Endless Mountain Derelicts. April 9th. Buffalo RIVERWORKS. If you want to rock, come on down.
Come get rowdy.
Check it out. Come get rowdy. All right. So we didn't get to everything, but I think we got to the meat and potatoes. Khalil Shakir for president, yes or no?
Absolutely, 100%. I would go back and vote for him 5 times and different IDs, everything, dude.
Best slot receiver in the league?
Yeah. Yes.
Why not?
I also think that if you pulled a bunch of players, honestly, they might agree with that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think guys around the league are like, holy smokes, this guy catches everything. Holy smokes.
It's my boy. I love
Who
him.
needs Cooper Kupp when you got that guy?
Cooper who?
Cooper who? I don't know. Amari Cooper? I don't know.
Dude, oh my God, RT. Were you in the chat? I got baited. Did you see that?
No.
There was a fake sorry, real quick. There's this post, dude. It was from one of the ESPN fake accounts. And it said,
I did see that.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp signed with the Chiefs. And before I even really checked what the @ was, I was just like, screenshot, send it to the group, like, here we go, dude. Here we are. Yep, of course, Cooper Kupp. And then I was like, shit, dude, it's it's fake. And I look like a dumbass. But I thought this little interesting tidbit. I'm not interested in Cooper Kupp. I don't know if I'm alone. I just think it's like,
no, I'm not either.
All right, he's a little too old. It's a little too much. He's they're getting rid of him. I want Josh to have a shiny, newish, established toy that might have a couple years that won't be like a locker room cancer or anything. But I was so mad when I saw that fake report that the Chiefs got him that I almost was like, I wonder, is it just the Chiefs or is it the person, or what do you do? Because it's like, if he would have signed with like the Jets, I would have been like, I don't care. Go like,
he ended up signing in Seattle. It's like, okay, he goes to Seattle. He goes back to where he's from. It's like, okay,
Sure. It's not even on my radar. But if he would have signed with the Chiefs, I would have been like, oh, there we go. We should have got Cooper Kupp. You know what I mean? I almost fell right onto that pile of crap, and I was like, nope.
It's a trap. It's the Casey trap, they call it. That's what it is.
The Casey's shuffle, dude.
The Casey shuffle. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I've done it too. I even had a dream that they signed Stephon Diggs, which is possible. Hey, whatever soups up the soap opera, I guess, for the NFL is what will happen. But I don't know. It seems like
but
seems like he's not of interest.
I don't think that they're paid Josh Allen all that money, and then they're going to be like, "Hey,
you want to come back?" I don't think he's coming back. No.
Doesn't matter what pictures he posts on Instagram, dude.
Maybe he's just reminiscing on the glory days of his career because they're not going to get better than that. It's just not.
No, that's a terrible injury to come back for an aging wide receiver.
Yep. That is what it is, man. I'm really, really happy to have you on, Swank. This was a great show, as always. Great to start the season off with a great friend, a great pal, a podcast pal, confidant, teammate, whatever you want to call it. I really enjoy having you on, as always, Swank, and I look forward to talking to you real soon.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. I love you so much, RT, and let's do it again real soon.
We'll do it again real soon. I'll text you in about 5 minutes. Sounds good?
Sounds
all right.
Good.
All right. Sounds good. All right, buddy. Thanks for hopping on. You got a show to do.
I do.
All righty. And he's got another show April 9th. Endless Mountain Derelicts. I'll say it again. Buffalo Ironworks.
Let's go, Buffalo.
Let's go. All right. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, brother.
Thanks for hopping on.
Absolutely.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
All right, that was Justin Swank. He's got a show to do. I got a little more to discuss here. So I will definitely be keeping you guys posted throughout the next couple of days. More social media content coming out from yours truly, whether it's on my Twitter at Ryan Thomas Take, whether it's at my Instagram at Ryan Thomas Take. Greatly appreciate you guys for tuning in to tonight's season debut episode of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Of course, I am Ryan Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in, and go Bills.